to this program, and we're very happy to be here. So Silver Creek represents kind of a beacon of hope and optimism for our family, because it's just something that we're really looking forward to. Point of clarification, we don't live in Etobicoke. Earlier somebody said that this is the only specialized preschool in Etobicoke. We live in the west end of Toronto, around West Village, the Junction. We were on a wait list for a specialized preschool in our neighborhood. As of June, that preschool is slated to close. So we were lucky enough to have gone onto the wait list for Silver Creek. We're now planning to kind of rearrange our lives in order to attend this preschool. My two questions: how far are you prepared to push us out of our neighborhoods, out further to the margins of the city and beyond? And second, where are we supposed to go? Thank you.
It's not to make a statement. Where are we supposed to go?
Okay, so you're supposed to go down the street to Silver Creek. Is where you're supposed to go. That's one of the things that was said earlier was people were angry with the TDSB. But to be fair, when the school was closed in 1982, the former Etobicoke School Board opened this up as a community hub. They are the ones who welcomed the Silver Creek Preschool into that site, which made a lot of sense. As long as Etobicoke controlled its own education taxes, there was never a question about keeping that site there and maintaining it. Nobody really cared about, is it making a little bit of money or is it losing a little bit of money? If it's providing a valuable service, it's a public service, it's paid for by tax dollars, the services are paid for by tax dollars, nobody really cared. The problem started really in 1998. The province took control of our education tax dollars. Since then, that building has not been funded adequately. So there's a shortfall every year that the TDSB has been making up in order to keep that building operating. So the board has been taking money from what's supposed to go to operating schools in order to keep that place going. As a trustee, twice before, I've been a trustee for 6 years, twice before that school, Silver Creek, came up on the list for potential sale. I was able both times to get it off the list. Last year, in February, when the Wilson report came out, I was not able to get it off the list because of the pressure that was put on us. And we talked about it, and I said in my letter that the board was threatened with being put under supervision. I'll say what happened to me was the Wilson report came out, and I will speak about the former board. It was very chaotic. There were some real problems. There was a feud that erupted among some trustees who decided to fight it out in public. It was a mess, and we needed the election. I mean, the problem when a government goes awry is that it's solved by the people in the next election, and the people of Toronto did solve it. We got 11 new trustees elected last November. In January, the Wilson report came out, and it said you need a capital plan. That was one of the requirements. And the board, so we met, and there were 11 recommendations, and we said, well, we've got a capital plan. We passed one last spring. It's a 3-year capital plan. These are the buildings that are going to be built. This is where the money's going to go for the next 3 years. And they said, and what our staff said is that the ministry staff had said to them that wasn't adequate, that we needed to add more schools or we'd be put under supervision. I went into the vote on February 17th in 2015, and I had counted, I had lobbied my other trustees, and I had at least 12 votes of people who were not going to vote to add those 6 other schools onto the site. But I sat down beside the trustee beside me, and I said, we talked about this, and he said, I said, you're not going to vote to add those 6 schools, right? And he said, you know what? I was talking to the ministry staff, and they said they've got a supervisory team waiting for us. And he said that I didn't just run in an election to let the government take control of the school board, and to boot me out of this position. So there's a problem, and I'm not blaming Yvonne Baker for this, because actually I like Yvonne, and I think he's a good MPP, and I think he's a good representative. you know, one of the frustrations when you're a trustee, if you don't control your finances, if you don't control the money that's coming in, then you don't control much at all. And this is where the school boards, not just in Toronto, but across the province, are getting into trouble. The maintenance backlog of the TDSB is $3.3 billion. Across the province, it's $15 billion. When this was the Etobicoke School Board, there was no major maintenance backlog. You know, there's always a little bit of backlog, but nothing major like that. Our buildings have gotten older, and we haven't had the funding to keep them up to stuff. I mean, you're looking